Hello, my loves, and welcome back to my second video. Today, I'm going to be talking about how I stay in shape and stay healthy and at the top of my game at 56. And first thing that I want to do is give you a bit of a snapshot about current situation. So I am 56, I'll be 57 in March. I have been postmenopausal for about 6 years now, and I started HRT last week. I'm going to talk about that. I also have a form of cancer, a type of leukemia called CLL, chronic lymphocytic leukemia. So it's chronic, it's not acute. Nothing's going to happen very quickly. I'm not on treatment at the moment. I was diagnosed in 2023 when I noticed that I was just feeling very run down and like I was getting sick all of the time, and I would have to rest a lot, which is not like me. I have a lot of energy. So I was diagnosed and told that I had CLL. I see my specialist every 3 months. I have blood tests every 3 months. The thing that we're looking at is lymphocytes. So we're wanting to see if my lymphocytes are escalating or not. And they are. Like, they're being motherfuckers right now, let's be honest. But anyway, so they are doing their thing. And there is a certain time when we start treatment, and that is when my lymphocytes double within a 6 month period. That's when we start treatment. They're moving pretty quickly, but we're not there yet. We're maybe, I don't know, a year away based on current situation, starting treatment, which won't be traditional chemo. Typically, it's going to be a mix of a couple of things, including immunotherapy. I'm not worried about it. The biggest impact it has on my life is that I don't have the energy that I used to have. Although that said, I know a lot of people, when they have been through menopause, struggle with energy as well. So that's why I started the HRT, because I thought even if I can get 20% more energy, I'm going to be in good shape. So I've got something in my eye. So what else do I need to tell you? My background is I've been fit my whole life. So I was the kid who was playing netball and things like that as a little kid. My eyesight's always been bad, so I wasn't great with ball sports. I sucked actually, but I could sprint and things like that. And then I was also the kid that when I was 14, I went and bought myself a pair of runners because I wanted to start running, and I had my mum drive around the block so that she could measure exactly how far the block was. So I knew how far I was running and how long it was taking me. I've always been a freak when it comes to data. I love data. And so I've always been very self-motivated. And then later on in my in my 20s, when I was 23, I started training in Taekwondo. I became a black belt within 12 months. I was training 7 days a week. I was training with the state squad. I was training with our head instructor at our black belt class from the time I was yellow belt. I went on to own my first school. Excuse me. I went on to own my first martial arts school. I fought, so I've won state and national championships. I used to fight under 47 kilos, so I was a flyweight. I was little and fast and could also hit very, very hard. And so Taekwondo was a big part of my life, even after I had my kids. I was still fighting after I had my kids. So I had my son, and I think I fought 8 months after him, and then I fought maybe 5 months after my daughter. And so it was a big part of my life. I owned martial arts schools up until 2015, and then I moved on from that. I still train when I can, finding a school that suits me, finding the times that work with my energy levels, and making sure I've got enough recovery time. That's all a little bit tricky, but I do still go and kick the bag and all that sort of stuff. And I am confident I'll find somewhere to train. I tried karate, which is a different style for me, about this time last year, and really loved it. Loved it. But the classes were running very late, and by the time I got home, and I'm still awake at 5 in the morning, so it was just running me down, and I don't have a lot of reserves because of the CLL. So, I'm working with some limitations, but I don't think like that. Even when I don't feel like I've got a lot of energy, even though I have to rest more than normal, I still feel like I've got more energy than most people. Like, that's the reality. All right, so right now, how am I feeling? I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. I did start HRT a week ago, And the reason for that, as I mentioned, I want my energy levels to be higher than they are. A lot of body aches that just were like, what is this situation? And libido is not like it used to be, things like that. And so it's like, okay, let me have a look at this. I'd also had some testing done and my testosterone was like non-existent. And I work with a really amazing PT and he's like, go check this out. So I did that. I had been through menopause and I handled it pretty well. I used Chinese medicine and sailed through. And so I didn't think I would ever need anything like this. But now, obviously, the research has come a long way. There are so many benefits for being on it. So I'm on it. So, what am I noticing? I feel so bloated right now. I feel like every part of my body is carrying fluid. My ovaries hurt. And my ovaries used to hurt all the time pre-menopause, and now they don't. And then they didn't, right? And now they're hurting again, but I know this will move on. The fluid will leave my body, my ovaries will settle. The positives that I'm noticing are my energy is definitely better. And I'm also noticing that my brain is clearer. I didn't realize it was foggy, but now that it's so clear, yeah, I understand. So I will keep you posted. It's very early days yet, but that's the HRT. I have been doing peptides. I've been doing the glow stack, and unfortunately, I have not, I'm one of those people where I have a lot of reaction to the injection site. So my whole stomach is a massive bruises and welts and things like that when it comes up. So I took my last dose today. I'm not going to stay on that for now, just because my CLL numbers are climbing, and there is vague research that says it can accelerate cancer. I think it's more relevant to the BPC. I think it's more relevant to tumor-based cancers, and there's nothing definitive, but I don't want to play roulette with it. And because it hasn't been easy for me to take, just because I'm getting, this bruising and soreness on my stomach. It's like, I don't need it that badly. And I also know that the HRT is going to help with my skin. I'm the sort of person that doesn't like to take a lot. I don't like to take a lot of things. I don't like to take unnecessary things. But what I am taking is creatine. I'm not doing that big 20-gram dose that people talk about, because I don't feel like I need the benefits of that higher dose. So I'm just doing my 5 milligrams a day. I take L-glutamine because of my immune system. With CLL, my immune system is very compromised. So I take that every day, and I notice it when I stop taking it. I use two collagens from a company called Saturé, and they have incredible, amazing products. And I take a bovine collagen in the morning with my first coffee, and then I take a marine collagen in my second coffee. I have two coffees a day. And that's me getting my collagen in. I don't need to think about it. I used to take it with my shake, and now if I don't have the shake, I don't have the collagen, and I just wanted to remove the drama. So I guess that's the first takeaway, really. I make things so easy and convenient, and I build systems around things, so I don't even really have to look at things. I don't have to think about them. They're just there. So my collagens are right beside my coffee. I couldn't take it every day when I was having it in my shake, because I resist shakes. I don't love a shake. And so, I was forcing myself to have them. So I would have the collagen and I would have my creatine and the glutamine and everything in there, and it just wasn't happening. So now, as I say, I take it with my coffee, and my powders I take with an electrolyte, just so I can get it in. I couldn't drink it with plain water. It's never a bad thing to be extra hydrated. So they're probably, yeah, it for supplements. Now let me talk about some health stuff first, because I think this is important. I am always on top of my mammograms, my skin checks, my pap smears, all of those things, just because CLL puts me in a higher incidence for breast cancer and melanoma. But I've always been like that anyway. in my mind, like in my family, there's a lot of different cancers. And, I've had my mum is one of five girls, and three of them are left. Two died before they were 50. One was lung cancer, one was ovarian cancer. Another one that is still with us, luckily, she had thyroid cancer, had to have her thyroid removed. Type 1 diabetes is on my nana's side. So there's a lot of stuff. So I'm always on top of those things, because I think in Australia we're so lucky with healthcare, and it takes nothing to go and have a check. I'm always on top of those things. If you're not on top of them, go get on top of them. I've had lumps, I'm very cysty. I end up with lumps, and I had cysts on my ovaries when I was younger and things like that. So I always just have to make sure all of that stuff is being checked. And now I've added a full panel of bloods that I'll be doing at least once every 12 months, that I give to my PT so he can have a look at, everything that's going on. And then I have my regular tests with my specialist for the CLL. Now, let me talk about training and exercise, and let me talk about the GLP-1 that I'm going to be trialing. So the first thing is I'm eating in at maintenance right now, and I've been eating at maintenance for a little bit. I am the sort of person, I don't have a huge appetite. I tend to undereat. And my whole life, I've always been within a kilo or two of my perfect weight, right? If I put a little bit on, it'll come off. Like, it's always done that. But I've noticed over menopause, it's creeping up, and it's creeping up around my stomach and my hips. And me no likey. I don't like it. And even in a deficit, even doing all of the right things, if my trainer gives me a plan, I follow that plan to a T. I don't deviate. He doesn't give me meal plans, he gives me macros. So the whole if it fits your macros thing, that's just as easy as breathing for me these days. And it means, I drink wine. I will have wine on Friday and Saturday nights. Typically, I'll have a couple of glasses, and I'm not going to give that up. I don't need to give it up. I don't drink to excess. I enjoy it. It's a way for me to unwind. And I know it's really uncool to say that, but I really enjoy wine. And then occasionally, if I go away with my girlfriends, I'll get on it and I'll have regrets the next day. But it's like, I live my life so healthily most of the time, and I'm a very serious kind of person most of the time. So it's not going to be a bad thing for me to go and cut loose every now and then. So I eat if it fits my macros, currently in maintenance, just because I was in a deficit for a while and nothing was shifting, which is why we went and did these blood tests, because my body fat's definitely coming down. I have my skin folds done every 2 weeks, and they're coming down, but it's like slow as fuck, and it just doesn't feel like anything's happening. And so Paul sent me to have my blood test. We came back, we looked at all the hormone stuff, and he's like, definitely need to look at that, because that's going to be one of the things. So low testosterone can, not a doctor, but low testosterone can impede weight loss, right? And so that's my nutrition. So I typically eat 4 meals a day. I like healthy foods. I'm not somebody who craves sugar and donuts and things like that. I would rather have an extra steak than anything else. I do, if I go out and there's a dessert there, I'll have a few spoonfuls because I enjoy it, but it's not the thing that I'm going to order. I would rather order an extra glass of wine than a dessert, I'll be honest. Or I would rather have, I don't know, a ceviche or something like that. I just love that. So always protein is the priority. I struggle to get carbs in, so I have carb powder that I add if I need to. All that stuff. So if it fits your macros, sitting at maintenance, was in a deficit. The deficit wasn't producing anything but more stress on my body. So we pulled me out of it so that I can be ready for taking the GLP-1. So I'm going to be taking a GLP-1. I'm not going to mention the name of it just yet, but it's not Ozempic. It's one that preserves muscle the most, and it has the least amount of side effects. I'm going to be micro-dosing it, and we're going to do it for as long as I need to get down to it's not a, I don't have a weight goal. I've actually put on 5 kilos of muscle in the last 5 years. So, which is big for me because I'm a small frame, but because I haven't had the energy, I'm not burning it off like normal. But so we're going to be on it for as long as I need to be on it until I get my body where I'm comfortable with it. It's not an arbitrary number. I don't know that. Like I used to fight under 47 kilos. So anything over 47 kilos used to feel like I was overweight. Even after I had my babies, I used to fight at that weight. Well, that's just, fucking mental. When I look at it now, it's like, I don't even know how that happened. And I didn't look especially underweight or anything. It was really weird. I just must have had no muscle whatsoever and no boobs, obviously. So that's kind of the nutrition side of it. I am going to get on the GLP ones next week. So next Wednesday, I'm going to start. We're going to microdose. And as I say, there's no target, but I am interested in that. I have another thing we discovered, through my specialist is that I have high cholesterol and it's genetic. It's on my mum's side. And I know that this GLP-1 has, well, it's the studies show, and in real life, it's showing that it reduces that marker and a lot of other unhealthy markers. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. That feels good because I tried to stop all the animal fat type thing, which is what I was living on. Like I love a good fatty steak and butter on my potatoes and things like that. So I stopped doing all of that, thinking, oh, well, okay, if I have to, and it hasn't made any difference whatsoever. Doesn't mean I'm going to go back and do that, but I'm hoping to see those markers improve. I don't want to be on medication for that. So that's that. And then when it comes to training and exercise, I'm not martial arts training at the moment. I do around 9,500 steps a day, pretty much every day. I do take one complete rest day where I don't walk, I don't go to the gym, I don't do anything. And that's because I've found with my body, if I take that one complete rest day, I don't get the CLL flare ups. The CLL flare up is absolute exhaustion, like you've been up all night feeding a newborn baby on steroids. So it's something I want to avoid, and it's like putting money in the bank for later every week, even though I don't feel like it, even though I want to go for a walk, I'm just disciplining my ass just to take that one day to reset. So I make up those steps over the course of the course of the week. I have a step count that I need to hit for the week, and it's 9,000 at the moment. So if I do, a couple of big long walks and then I might do a shorter one. So it's not like I'm a robot every day. It's exactly the same. Some days, if it's been raining or whatever, I'll do a couple of stints on the treadmill. I've got a treadmill and a spin bike in my spare room. So I can break it up and take my laptop in, watch something and get some, and then come back and work and then do that. So I do that as well if I need to. Steps are the thing that I struggle with the most these days, just because my energy wasn't great, but I get it done. I get it done. And it depends on the time of the year. So I avoid UV like it's going out of fashion. People always talk about my skin, and that's because I avoid being out in the sun. We did enough damage when we were kids here in Australia. So for me, it's like I want to minimize that damage. So I walk very early before the UV is out, or I walk late. And normally in the summertime, in the warmer months, I'll go very early just so that it's done, and I usually crash in the afternoon. So I do that, and then I come back, I do a little bit of work, and then I typically go to the gym. So my gym these days is 4 days, and I'm done in about 40 minutes. And I've been dealing with a prolapse disc with my back. So we've had to really modify. So I've been essentially doing 4 upper body days with one very safe leg exercise tagged onto the bottom of each upper body day. And my back has turned a corner. And I think the testosterone is actually helping. And so I've got my new program. I got it this morning. I've got 2 dedicated leg days, again, 2 upper body days. My brain tells me I want to be in the gym 5 or 6 days a week because that's what I've always done, but my body doesn't respond well to it. It just crashes and burns. And so I have to just be okay with that. I go and do those 4 sessions a week, and that's good. When my energy is better, and I did it last week actually, I woke up, my energy was better, and I was thinking about doing intervals. My body loves to run, it loves to sprint, it's athletic. Martial arts is very athletic. And I love being fit. I love being fast. I love all of those things. Do I love weightlifting? I do it because it's good for me. And, I don't hate it, but I would rather be kicking the shit out of things and running and sprinting and doing all of those things. That's what I would prefer to be doing. So I do the weights to make sure that I'm doing all the right things, maintaining my muscle mass, longevity, all those things. But I've been waiting for my energy to kick in so I can start to do those fun things again. So I'm going to start adding those. I also this week booked in to start a series of swimming lessons. I've done triathlons and swimming. I swam a lot in the past, but I tried to get back in the pool maybe 6 months ago, and my stroke felt so shit. And it's like, this is really shit. And so I got out. It's not much to put me off the pool because the hair situation, it's not the easiest sport, is it? If you want to look a little bit half decent most of the time. And if I like to do something, I like to do it 3 or 4 times a week. I don't see that happening, but because my stroke wasn't great, and it just is like, oh, forget about it. And my back has been sore, and it's like, swimming is going to be good for that. So I booked some swimming lessons. They start next week. I'll have one swimming lesson every single week for, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks just to get on top of my stroke. And then I'll just start swimming again. That's a really good addition. I love it. It's like meditation for me, and I can go forever. So yeah, that's it, I think. So let me wrap it up in a nutshell. The first thing is the mentality behind it, right? I I could not be the sort of person that has to move my body and eat well. That's just who I am. That's my identity. That is part of who I am. I don't need to think about it. If I have not moved for a couple of days because I've been unwell, I need to move. Like my body needs to move. And I'm just so used to it. And it doesn't feel hard. Every exercise that I've ever done post fighting has felt so easy because no one's trying to take your head off, right? It's like, by comparison, I'm just picking things up and putting them back down, or I'm just running and I can stop anytime I want or whatever, right? So it's all relative. So none of that feels hard for me. The last couple of years, because my energy hasn't great, I don't have that internal motivation that I've always had. People used to say to me, I don't know how you're so motivated. I'm like, it's not motivation. It's just who I am, right? But I negotiate like a motherfucker a lot of the time, getting myself to the gym these days just because I don't have it in me. But that's changing. I'm feeling that start to shift with the HRT. So I'm excited for that. But for me, it's non-negotiable. So what's non-negotiable? If I've got a step count I have to hit for the week, I'm going to hit it. If I have 4 weight sessions that I have to train every week, I'm going to hit it. We've got it set up so that, I can measure my progressive overload. Every single exercise of every single session that I do, I make sure there is progressive overload. I move the needle on it every single time. There is not any time that I've been to the gym in years where it's like I'm lifting the same weight or I've gone backwards or whatever. No, it is always forward, forward, forward. So that's a good thing. And then the sprints and the swimming and stuff like that, that's for funsies for me because I feel most alive when I'm training like that, when I'm breathing hard. Yeah, it's just a good feeling. And so nutrition, if it fits your macros, I will go back into a deficit when I start the GLP-1 just because Paul's telling me that you're going to be really struggling to get the food in. So we're going to give me a non-negotiable lower level of calories that I need to take in, making obviously protein a priority. And we're microdosing that. And I'm excited because I've been working my ass off I've been working with Paul for 12, 12, 3/4 of a year, I would say, 9 months, we could call it. And I've really not shifted anything. I've put muscle on, my body fat is going down, but it's not significant. It's not significant enough. And so I'm excited to get a little helper to actually make sure that the work and the discipline that I have is actually being reflected. I've never had problems shifting weight before. This is a different kind of fat that sits around your stomach and hips when you're in menopause. It just hits different and it's not moving. So I'm not mad about that. I don't feel like I'm cheating. I'm just going to do, like, I don't give a shit about that stuff anyway. I'm going to do what suits me. As far as my routine goes, I make things easy. Like I say, you know, if I know the UV is going to be out during the, well, it is because it's summer, I know roughly when that kicks in. So I know I have to be out on my walk by a certain time. My supplements are ready to go. I put in my schedule when I'm going to go to my gym. But if I have to bump it back a day, I do that. I'm not like a robot. It's not like every Monday, Wednesday, I don't know, Friday, Saturday, or whatever. I like it to be that way, but sometimes it's just not that way and I don't care. Some days, sometimes I get way more steps in, other times I get a little bit less. I'm not obsessive. This is just part of my life. And so the GLP-1 is happening. And other than that, I don't know that there's anything else to tell you, but ask away in the comments below and I'm happy to answer anything else. I will do another one on like treatments and things that I have for my face. So I am going to have a facelift next year. I think I mentioned that in the last video. I'm going to do that. Just my neck is not where I want it to be. Oh, look at that. Not like that. I look a bit like a moon. Anyway, I'm getting excited about it, but I'm also making sure that, you know, I eat well, and that's a big part of why my skin is so good. Staying out of the sun is why my skin is so good, genetics. And then, you know, taking supplementation. I don't know how much that does, but I think, you know, collagen's one of those things that has been researched enough to have indicators that it's worthwhile. Yeah, it's just a little bit of extra protein for me as well. But yeah, I had all the filler removed out of my face apart from my lips a couple of years ago. And so I'm going to talk about what I've had done, what I felt really worked, what I'm glad I didn't bother with because we later found out it didn't really do much. And then like my plans for the facelift and what I'm going to have and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's it. I'll leave it there. But any questions, I'm an open book, ask away. And if you are a fellow person with CLL, I had a second Instagram channel profile for a little while where I spoke about CLL and spoke about my training and stuff. I just didn't want to split my focus, so everything is on my main one now. But when I had that account running, people would pardon me, people would just have been diagnosed with CLL and they were reeling and they would find me and they would be in my DMs and we would have a conversation about it. I don't want to be the poster girl for cancer. I don't want to be that person, but I am very, very happy to have those conversations with any of you who are, you know, struggling with that diagnosis and you're just really scared because you don't know what it means. I want you to see that I'm living proof that my life didn't stop. I get more tired. Well, I get tired when I didn't get tired before. I have limits that I now know because I pushed the boundaries so many times that I can't push past. I've got a treatment plan. I had a bone marrow biopsy last year. Like that seemed pretty scary to me. I was awake when they did it. That kind of freaked me out that I was going to have to be awake. I don't know how people do facelifts awake. Hell no. Anyway, that was fine. Didn't hurt. Things like that. So there's a lot that feels scary, and there are lots of subsets of CLL as well. I'm very lucky. We had all of my genetic testing done, and there is nothing super scary coming down the pipeline. This is going to do what it's going to do. I am going to require treatment at some point. We will have the treatment, and there's two options. I either go on one medication for the rest of my life, or there's a 12-month, it's 12 rounds of 4 weeks of immunotherapy and some other drug. And I'll probably do that just because I don't want to be on anything for the rest of my life. And that should put me in remission. This is not curable, but it's treatable. It won't take me out. I will outlive the disease. It just does have, implications in my day-to-day life around my energy. That's really it. And coming to grips with a diagnosis like that, and I tried to minimize it so much. It's fine. It's not like it's this cancer. It's not like it's that. And then, I had to let myself have a moment where it's like, it's fucking cancer. Like, you never thought you were going to have cancer. It's cancer. It's serious. So have your moment and then move on. And now I barely think about it. It took me a good 18 months to actually fully accept it and be okay with it without freaking out every 3 months. I have my blood test the week before I see my specialist. I freak out that week. I freak out in the week in between because I don't know what's happening. And the really random thing about this is I can feel really good. Like, I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. And I saw my blood tests and they're fucking going crazy. So, and that's the story of it, right? I can go there having felt shit for weeks and weeks and just be like, oh, this is not going to be good. And she's like, oh, it hasn't really moved. So it's like, I can't determine how I feel. How I feel doesn't determine what's actually going on. So it feels like there's no control over it. And that was the biggest thing to get my head around, that I couldn't control it, that I couldn't control it with my diet and my nutrition and my training and my mindset, all those things, right? And just, I guess I want to touch on that too. When I told my community that about the diagnosis, the first thing that I said is, I do not want you in my DMs telling me about some fucking guru with a potion that's going to cure me, or that my mindset is the way. I have a very strong mindset. And I'm sure there are people that cure things all the time. Part of me thinks it's coincidence. I don't know. I don't buy that. I believe mindset will do so many different things. I'm just not sold on that. And because I'm not sold on it, like, it's probably not going to work for me, right? I know from a scientific perspective, this is a disease that can go into remission, which is fine. It will live in my body forever, just like, I don't know, a lot of other things, right? And I don't want people reaching out saying, hey, try this vitamin. Hey, this person said you should do that. Hey, have you tried meditating? Or, I know this guru who's going to cure you by whatever, right? I don't want to hear about it. I have these conversations with my specialist, and she is the person that I trust. And between the two of us, we make really good decisions. And that includes how I go about it. So when I first started seeing her, she said, well, let's get a bone marrow biopsy. And I'm like, well, why? If you're saying my numbers don't indicate treatment just yet, why do we need a bone marrow biopsy? And she's like, yeah, there's no rush. And I'm like, okay, cool. I said, it's not that I'm not going to do it, but I not long had a third hip surgery. I've had 3 hip surgeries, various torn calf muscles. Like, my body's been through it. And so I was like, I just want a minute without, something, and rip my face off and move it around. I'm happy with that. But it's like, I just need a minute. And so she said, that's fine. There's no rush. And then, 12 months in, she's like, I want you to start thinking about the biopsy. And I'm like, how long have I got? And she said, let's do it within the next 12 months. And then, it was the time. And she's like, I think we need to do the biopsy. I'm like, cool. So I went and had the biopsy. It may or may not mean anything, but my bone marrow at that time, October last year, was 50% packed. So it's not meant to be packed at all. So that means that the lymphocytes, they don't die like they're supposed to. So they accumulate in the bone marrow. It makes the bone marrow spongy. That's a problem. And so we've got time, but we don't have forever, because 50% is still a reasonable number. And because it was 50% and my lymphocytes have been going up all the time, that means it's becoming more and more packed. So I will need treatment. It's going to happen. But she was very good at not forcing me to do something because it wasn't time yet. She also is like, do we want to do this other testing where you can see exactly what's coming down the barrel? And I'm like, no, thanks. I already know it's going to be fine. Like, I know it's going to be fine. And so when we did the bone marrow biopsy, that's when we did that full lot of testing at the Peter MacCallum Institute of Cancer here, which is renowned. And we did all of the genetic testing and had a look at, well, okay, cool. Because people that have this can have this marker, and it means, because people die from it. And I don't have any of that. So that was all good. And, she worked with me for that. And I appreciate that because I am going to do my own. I call it research, but I don't like to say I'm doing research when it's medical because we're not. We're just Googling shit, essentially, aren't we, really? And she knows, she went to school to figure this stuff out. So, yeah, I don't want have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you whatever? Like, not open to that at all. I'm on my own journey. I know what I've got to do. I know what's coming. I know how we're going to handle it. I feel good about it all. I don't have any stress. I don't have any worry about it. I'm not worried. Even when I thought I needed chemo, it's like, I don't care if I need it, give it to me. I don't care if my hair falls out. I'm going to be here for my kids. So, yeah, I'm very grounded. I feel very calm about it all. But yeah, it took a minute to get here. Anyway, this has gone on for too long. I promised I was going to do this in 20 minutes. Didn't happen. All right, so I will do another one about all the other face stuff and everything else, but I also want to do some business stuff. So I'm going to talk about my podcast strategy for building an audience of millions. I'll probably do that one next week. All righty. All right, I'll see you then. Bye.